right, folks. Good evening, and welcome back to Fountain Bowl. 2017 Fountain Valley Open continues on. We have reached the group stepladder portion, in which we will have two more participants who will bowl for the title on television. And next week we will tape that show, and it will air June 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS Sports Network. Our special guest today in the booth is none other than Aaron McCarthy, Team USA member.
Mommy and Daddy came out to visit.
Hello?
Our athletes are about to complete
None other than Aaron McCarthy.
Hi, everyone.
We'll make that CBS Sports Network telecast. We encourage you to pick out
We'll have
your favorite
45 and
cheer for
46
on.
and
Don't be afraid
41
to
and
put those hands
42.
together.
One more
Check it out.
time.
Ladies, arrows are up.
I'll let you know ahead of
Pins
time.
are on the deck. Bowling fans, how about a great send-off for our group stepladder finals of the PWBA Fountain Valley Open.
So we'll have Liz Johnson and Shayna Ung, as well as Sherry Tan and Maria Jose Rodriguez. First of all, in regards to the pattern, as Liz will start. Aaron, you bowled a few games on it. We'll get into what happened in regards to that. But congrats, first of all, to Kelly Kulick and Verity Crawley.
Yes.
Bowling phenomenal. Verity, first tour event this season, and she makes the show. And Kelly Kulick is Kelly Kulick, so congrats to them. But different pattern that we saw this week. Of course, much different than the first 2 weeks. You missed an event. Did you miss an event?
I did. I missed the last event.
Sacramento
Yep.
event. So you had basically the first event, Sonoma County Open pattern, and then this one, which was obviously different. But what were your takeaways that you saw?
This pattern was definitely different than the past 2 weeks. It was 38 feet, 22 mils, but it wasn't as flat as what they've seen over the past 2 weeks, I think. I mean, just watching Kelly bowl to the right of me actually all day yesterday, it seemed like she used a bit of a stronger ball to start, but she was definitely, it's more of her A game. She was able to kind of come around a little bit more, get a little bit farther right off of her hand, and she had really good ball motion overall, and she was able to keep it in play. It's kind of interesting though, because you couldn't get too far left, and if you tried to send it further right, it obviously was just going to fall off. Whereas if you missed left off your hand, it was almost going to hook instantly. So it was really about kind of finding that right balance and playing the hook to your advantage.
Right, flat 10 there as both players started with a strike between Shayna Ung and Liz Johnson. Over to Maria Jose Rodriguez. During the event here, I will try to add in our split screen. Something was slightly off in the way we had some things set up this week in our positions. And so I'll work through that, of course, a little bit. But 41 and 42, Maria Jose. Now, Maria has already made one TV show, of course, on what is to this date the most demanding condition that we've seen on tour. Being very consistent. Anything that you have seen from Maria that you say, wow, this is kind of one of those things where she is why she's excelling and being consistent kind of week to week.
I mean, Maria's had obviously a really good start to the season. I think a lot of that has to do with just shot making, and I've actually bowled next to her the very first week. She just kept it in play all weekend long, and she didn't really miss very many spares either. I think that was critically important, especially the first week being one of the lowest cut scores that we've ever seen thus far over the past 3 years. And same thing this week. I didn't get to see her bowl as much, but it just looks like she's throwing it very well overall.
Sherry Tan, of course, a member of Team Singapore. Team Singapore representing the group stepladder here with Sherry Tan, of course, Shayna Ung, Daphne Tan will bowl the winner of the Sherry Tan Maria Jose Rodriguez match here. Of course, y'all know about Team Singapore now. A lot of people didn't know about them until last season, and still making their presence felt here in such minimal events. Of course, they're only bowling to the Queens next week, but in your experience, with watching them play, and then of course bowling with them and against them, Yeah, what makes them so tough in your opinion?
I mean, part of it is back home that is their sole career. They bowl, I think, pretty much every day a week. They practice together. You know, I'm not sure if they all live near each other, but I just know that they do things together as a whole group. They do things a little bit differently over there. I mean, they're training 2 to 4 hours a day, if not more, every single day of the week. It's what they do. They live, eat, breathe bowling.
It's a great opportunity. And almost and really cool to certainly have them out when they're available. I mean, it raises the level for everyone,
Oh,
from
absolutely.
a competition perspective. Sherry Tan, 6-pin. Shayna Ong off camera with a 10-pin. The time a wrap 10. Joined by Aaron McCarthy in the booth this evening. Neil Williams Jr. Big thanks to all of our staff, of course, to Neil Milligan, Kathy Watka, Kathy Kavicki, Matt Canizaro on hand this week, and also the, of course, Bowling Center staff, who has been great throughout as well. Makes the spare. Now, I know, Aaron, I saw we had just briefly talked about it, but I had no idea. So, hey, where's Aaron? Matt, I asked someone yesterday, and unfortunately, you had to withdraw, but we hope everything is okay, especially
so
with
too.
the Queens on the
Yes.
on the horizon.
Yeah, yesterday I was having some back issues in the morning, but not enough to bother me, and then at the second block it just started spasming. I'm not really sure what caused it. Maybe those long plane rides that I had last week coming back from overseas and just not bowling for, I think it was maybe 9 or 10 days I hadn't touched a ball. Hopefully it's nothing too serious.
In trouble there for Maria Jose Rodriguez. Take a quick look over at Shayna Ong. Speaking of overseas, you were overseas, as you mentioned, for a very special occasion.
I was.
Last time we actually talked to Josie, who is no longer Ernest.
It is now Barnes.
Josie Barnes, we did allude to that she was going to be getting married that next week, which of course was last week. And Aaron, you had a chance to be a part of that. What was that experience like? Of course, to seeing a great friend, 2 great friends of yours get married, and then of course in the setting.
It was a very special week for sure. I've gone out of the country once, but it was bowling related, so it was just travel with no bowling equipment for a special once in a lifetime event. It was really amazing.
Our congratulations certainly to Josie and Kyle. I'll have to get used to the name change. I'm sure as everyone else will as well. Or just not a bad name.
It's a good name.
Now she might get mistaken for like someone related to Linda or Chris or something like that.
It seems to be a pretty good bowling name.
That is. All right, 4-pin for Liz Johnson. Let's take a peek over at Sherry Tan. Sherry, the lone left-hander to make the top 32, and now finds herself a couple games away from another TV show. Of course, she won the Sacramento Open last week. Oh, excuse me, last season. Sherry Tan, 59 in the third, strike in the fourth. Rodriguez with the back-to-back opens in the second and third. Shayna Ong will go first. She has a carry issue at the moment, 10 pins. Working against Liz Johnson. Oh, she gets him to fall down. Take it. Oh, Tan will enter your screen here momentarily. And that one a little high. What have you seen so far from both matches from a lane play perspective? Again, this is on the fresh 38 feet pattern. We talked about it a little bit, certainly different. But from a strategy perspective, if you were bowling, what would you be looking for?
It's kind of interesting right now because it's almost like there's 4 completely different styles. I mean, obviously Sherry being the lefty, but Shayna tends to open up the lane a little bit more in comparison to Liz, obviously. Liz is a little bit harder and straighter, and I think Liz is a little bit better at playing in the middle of the lane with the hook, not so much getting it too far right. Seems like Maria's just kind of struggling with ball reaction a bit. I almost think that's the same ball that she won her matches in the first stop. I could be wrong, but I think she was talking to me about a 2-inch pin that she had something more controllable, especially when she's dealing with the friction.
That brings up a great point. You know, you have to know your equipment at this level, what you're looking at, what you're getting into, what you need. What keys or what factors, obviously it's going to, whatever the condition may allow or may cause you to do. But, do you have a couple benchmark balls still, even on the array of patterns that you may see on tour?
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely. I think a lot of that comes just from experience, and the more tournaments that you bowl in, you realize what you need or what you may not need. For me, and I think a lot of the players out here, we don't do too much with layouts necessarily. You use similar layouts in all of your bowling balls, and you just find what works and what doesn't work, and then you can tweak it, obviously, with Aberlon pads or polish or whatever it may be from pattern to pattern. Very few times you'll see where you need a specific layout to on a specific bowling ball for that particular pattern, but a lot of us have our bowling balls that we're comfortable with and what we start with, and then just adjust from there.
Talking with Aaron McCarthy, joining us here for our group stepladder finals, the Fountain Valley Open. All right, you might have something here. First look. All right, split screen, Liz Johnson. She has a 3-bagger. Sherry Tan taking a moment there. Maria not completely out of that match. Sherry is clean through 6 with the 2-4 staring at her. I want to thank all of our sponsors of the PWBA Tour, Smithfield, Nationwide, Pepsi, Cubica AMF, and GoBowling.com. as well as all of our apparel, ball, product registered companies. Kegel, the official lane maintenance provider. As well as all of our accessory companies who are product registered. So it takes a lot for the tour, and we certainly appreciate everyone's contribution to give players like Aaron that opportunity to be successful and win some titles. Obviously, that's the ultimate goal. But Aaron, for you, what is obviously everyone's goal is to win at some point, but for you specifically, when you think PWBA Tour, what do you want to see from yourself over the course of your career?
Personally, I just would like to be more consistent. Right now, I should say injury-free, since I can't seem to do that very well over the past 2 years. But I think consistency, not necessarily, making cuts and being at the bottom of the cuts, but actually bowling well throughout every single event versus having one great event and then one just terrible event. I think that's what a lot of players look for. I mean, besides the obvious winning, but just being consistent while you're out here.
I want to say hello to Stephanie Johnson, PWBA Tour course champion, former Rookie of the Year. Watching Extra Frame. Steph will join us at some point. Of course, recently gave birth to her and husband Chris's second child, Kinsey Rose.
She actually posted a pretty comical video yesterday after a good practice session.
Check it out then. Sounds like a good tease. Spare for Ung, and we've got ourselves a 5-pin match between Johnson and Ung as we head to the 10th frame. So not more you can ask for here. And the group step ladder, of course, is what we always expect, and it generally never disappoints. Sherry Tan, after the back-to-back opens again from Maria, he's a 6-pin. Shayna Ung slaps the 10-pin out. So Shayna can max for 217, which means that would force Liz Johnson to double in the 10th frame. So important strike here for Shayna, spare for Sherry Tan. And a washout. So not the shot we expected there from Shayna. Did you see anything that stood out there?
Kind of a bad angle, but it almost looks like she didn't get around it quite as much as the one previous.
She will take 2. .205 for Shayna Ung. Sherry Tan stepping up in the 9th, so again, Liz Johnson. Still in the driver's seat. Mark will do it. Even if she got tough count here on the first ball, she's able to make the spare. The ooh sounded like almost a 7-10. Pretty simple here. We make the spare. And get 5. Liz Johnson will move on. While Sherry Tan, 4-7. Folks, if you have any questions for Erin while she is in the booth, please feel free to drop those, of course, in our Live Now post on Facebook. spare for Liz Johnson. Spare here for Maria. Best she can do is shoot 161. This one mathematically over. Sherry Tan will move on to face her sister Daphne Tan. One spot in the TV finals. Liz Johnson 211 to 205. Speaking of Liz Johnson, didn't win a match through 4 games today, but turned it on. Of course, it's Liz Johnson. I mean, it's almost like you can just pinpoint it. You pick up the phone, and if you need help, you need assistance, you say, "Hey, Liz, I'm down and out. Can you throw a 7-bagger?"
Absolutely.
Just do it. Unbelievable how good that she is, and of course, at what she does.
One of the absolute best.
Well, she shot 266, which was really the game in when she made a run. That moved her up to 5th, and then won her last match to really not edge Shayna Ung, of course, because they bowled each other, but Shayna Ung then defeated Shannon O'Keefe, who was 3rd at that time. And of course, I believe it was about 14 pins the difference, and Shannon just missing the group stepladder final. It's a very interesting day, as we have come to know with our group stepladder finals. Again, Liz Johnson 211 to 205. She wins over Shayna Ung. So Liz and Clara Guerrero. That's a pretty cool match for a group stepladder. Maria has given us the thumbs up. And that's what I mean in regards to her personality. Did not bowl well, of course, obviously, but still able to kind of take it all in stride and still have a little fun, which is not easy to do.
No, it's definitely not.
Sherry Tan wrapping things up. For Sherry, of course, she's going to the bag. Looks like she will try out some urethane, as you mentioned earlier. I mean, we can't say whatever her strategy has been, it certainly worked. It's got her all the way to this point.
Yeah. She didn't really have any, not even bad games yesterday. It was all pretty consistent.
All right, one more fill. So there will be a tan on the TV finals.
Yes.
It's going to be either Daphne or Sherry, which means that, again, Singapore will be represented again on television, PWBA Tour. Daphne, at the moment, of course, there are several players who have bowled for Singapore. Bernice Slim, of course, the defending Queen's champion. Sherry has won. Jazreal has won. Of course, Wei has won. Could be time for Daphne.
Another one to win.
Great job, ladies. All right, our number 2 seeds, they will get 3 shots on each lane, and as being the top seed, they will get to choose who will begin that match. Again, we're going to start in just a few moments.
All right, so Aaron, put me in, take me to Clara and Daphne. Watch the first game. You've had a chance to practice on the pair before, etc. What do you see, or what have you seen kind of from each pair? But mentally, what's your mindset kind of coming in to this type of setting?
You try not to put too much pressure on yourself, because you only have 10 frames, and those 10 frames go by incredibly fast, even faster than the matches beforehand. I think you just try to make the best 10 shots, or the best 10 good shots that you possibly can, and hope for the best. Clara had a really, really good look yesterday. I didn't get a chance to watch much this morning. It seems like she just didn't win too many of her matches, so hopefully this one's a little bit different.
Yeah, Clara had kind of the opposite of what we talked about with Liz. Essentially, Liz didn't win any matches either. It was kind of similar, where she didn't win the first 4, but then shot 266, and it was enough, of course, when you take into account everyone around her in the standings at that particular time, which was able to assist with Clara, who was leading Group B. She didn't win matches, but she didn't bowl bad at the same time,
Right.
which, you know, puts you in that certainly that catch-22 situation, where if you lose a couple games by a few pins, all of a sudden you're 0-5. And Verity Crawley, who bowled well, won every match, and then the bonus pins kind of kick in and they add up.
Yeah, that certainly makes a difference.
Few remaining practice shots. Here, let's see if we have any questions for Aaron? No, not yet. Aaron, are you still actively involved with a career in nursing?
I am. Work every week when I get back home, or almost every week, I should say. And then I come out here and bowl.
What's your schedule like? I mean, it's got to be.
It's messed up. That's the only way to put it. It's not normal. While the tour's going on, I'll come back and work at least Monday, Tuesday, every single week. Sometimes it'll be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then I'll travel on Thursdays. It kind of just varies based on what time my flights are on Thursday or what time I get home on Sundays. This month was obviously a little bit different with the Queens and Barcelona and whatnot, but during a typical week, that's what I do.
What made you get into or want to get into nursing or be a nurse?
I wanted to do something in the medical field. I just didn't know what. So I majored in biology, realized I'd have more interaction with the patients and a little bit more flexibility with nursing. So I ended up going that route, which seems to have been the correct choice thus far.
PWBA Tour brings about a lot of different professions and ways to be a professional bowler. Of course, your way with having a full-time job and still being a professional athlete. Simultaneously, essentially, we've got several teachers on tour and other individuals who have full-time, and they kind of go back and forth.
There's a couple of coaches out on tour too, that lends itself well typically.
Always feel at home whenever I see you in the building.
I
I know if anything goes wrong,
one more shot, but I have been
there's someone who is
informed
licensed
that
and
over
trained
on
and
lanes
all of the
41
above.
and 42,
Can certainly try.
Sherry Tan will start that match against her sister. We got sisters over here. I think this may be a PWBA first this season. Sisters over on 41 and 42. And down on lanes 45 and 46, Clara has elected to have Liz Johnson begin that
Johnson
match.
will start
And again,
on
folks,
45
over on
and
45 and
46.
46,
And
they
we'll
are
clear
not
the
sisters.
scores.
So only sisters on 41 and 42, not sisters on 45 and 46.
Daphne and Sherry
All right,
Tan,
ladies, we have
as
full
Tennille mentioned,
Arizona
are
up.
sisters.
We have a full
No
set
relation
of
to
pins.
Jazreel Tan, though,
All
who's
right, how
also
about a great round of
Team
applause for the
Singapore.
championship match.
All right, Aaron, technically, what do you see here between the two matches? Obviously, some extreme familiarity between Sherry and Daphne, and of course, Liz Johnson, arguably the greatest, against Clara, who still in a good position, after leading this tournament for most of the weekend. Still an opportunity to make TV.
I don't think, between Daphne, Clara, and Liz, they're not going to try and cover too many boards, as opposed to when Shayna was over there on 45 and 46. And then I'm not sure, can't see what Sherry's starting with, if it's urethane or reactive. Looks like urethane.
Yeah.
It could be two interesting matches, that's for sure.
So we made the change, did Sherry. Here's Liz Johnson's first offering. Pretty kind of classic Liz, and where she's playing the lanes, chopping the 10 out to start things. I mean, Clara was literally the best bowler all weekend. I mean, she had led round 1, round 2, led most of the day today. So for her, I mean, I'd imagine if that's you, to think positively. Of course, don't worry about the bad luck and some of the things that happened in match
Right.
play.
Would assume that she'll probably keep that same strategy and hopefully it works out during this one game match.
Well, she spent some time, had a great experience, of course, on television as well. I mean, what is there anything that you take or still recall and use as you move forward in your career in situations like this?
I mean, like I said kind of earlier, these one-game matches, they go by so incredibly fast. It's almost like you have to force yourself to stay in the moment, because if you think about the one bad shot, then it's just a trickle-down effect, and your entire game could go just based on one negative thought, I should say. That's especially true once you make it on television too. It's the fastest 10 frames of your life.
Joined in the booth by Aaron McCarthy, Team USA member. There's Clara. Good shot there, and leaves a 10 pin. So 2 good shots for Clara to open up this match. Again, the winners of these matches will move on to join Kelly Kulick and Verity Crawley in the TV finals of the Fountain Valley Open. Spare there for Daphne Tan. Talked to Jazz Reel earlier today. She joined us in the position round. We talked about, of course, Daphne and Sherry. Mentioned Daphne has worked a lot as far as playing left and moving in a little bit, and she's gotten better and better at it, and did it a lot this week, and the results certainly have shown.
I would say so.
Strike spare for Clara to open. Daphne Tan's second offering. Looked a little right, perhaps early. And a 2-8. Good shot there for Liz Johnson, and an early double. Liz trying to make it back-to-back TV shows. Last week claimed the top overall seed in Sacramento, and now trying to earn another spot through the group step ladder this week. When you began your bowling career, was Liz Johnson someone that you looked up to or thought, of course, I'd like to be in positions that Liz Johnson was in at some point?
Oh, absolutely. I think she's a name in bowling, whether you're male or female, that everyone looks at and says, you know, I'd love to be in that position. I'd love to look up to her.
Well, she often throws shots like that.
Yeah.
And, man, sometimes you just run out of words for certain people. And
She's one of those people.
it's difficult to kind of describe Liz in ways that we haven't already done it, written about, etc. We don't want to get into veterans and different things like that. Of course, we all know she obviously was part of the first generation, if you will, the PWBA tour, and has won several times. But to still be at the top of the game,
I think that just goes to show how good she really is.
a shot there from Clara. Liz mentioned last week she had to use her C and D game. And we're, of course, accustomed to seeing if you give Liz anything right, it's almost toast for you. It's curtains. It's one of my favorite cartoons used to say. But she played the middle of the lane last week. Still kept the angles in front, but like she said, C&D games, it's a lot of different shots she can play. She knows she can do it, and it's still surprising for people to see sometimes that when she does play left, they're like, wow, Liz is playing left. It's like a shock. I think people used to say that a little bit about Clara, and she's been left the whole time, like all weekend. Although she looks a little bit further right during this match.
I think that's one thing that's been different about this season thus far. We're seeing a lot of us having to play farther left, not necessarily covering more boards, but just having to be further left with your feet. It's not a bad thing. It's just different, something that all of us are going to have to obviously adjust to, as Liz Johnson has done.
For you, is it? I mean, I imagine it's a challenge well accepted, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind playing left, but one thing that I've kind of noticed about this season thus far, even though I've only bowled 2 stops, it's not like you can just send it right. You actually have to make quality shots and get within just a couple of boards or where you're actually looking. So it's different. It's kind of refreshing in a way. It just forces you to do different things with your hand position and your ball surfaces and that type of stuff.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You don't know what to expect week in and week out now,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, okay, we always got to be on top of it.
Really have to keep your mental game in check too, because you can't get frustrated with leaving yourself makeable spares when you think that they should be strikes. It's almost like a blessing when you leave yourself a makeable spare these past couple of weeks.
After watching week 1, no doubt about that for sure. Daphne Tan looking for her first strike of the match, and she leaves a 10-pin. 2-pin match on 41 and 42. 20-pin match on 45 and 46. And a week 10 there for Liz. It ends the run at 4. Clara will have a chance to continue on. Daphne Tan takes care of business on the spare. And as does Liz Johnson. All right, so the Tan sisters working within 2 pins of one another. Of course, Wei and Sherry met in the title match of the Smithfield Tour Championship last season, with Sherry the runner-up. So obviously, like I said, of course, sisters, they train together, bowl together, travel together. It's got to be, in some instance, a tough match for both of them, as you see Clara strike. I always wonder what that would be like when you have a sibling and you compete against that at a high level and want a lot on the line and different things like that. It's got to be a different mindset, if you will.
I think it would be certainly interesting, maybe good and bad days, I guess you could say that.
And the chop on the 3-6-10. So Clara here strikes in the 5th. Take a 1-pin lead. Definitely playing a little further right than I think she had been playing throughout. I didn't really get a chance to see her during match play. She didn't come across a lot, but obviously throwing it well, looking very confident, and wherever she's playing on the lane, a conversation between her and Rob, for example. So far, so good on the results.
Yeah, throwing it very well too.
From here, any particular motion that you see from whatever she's throwing? Is there something that kind of stands out?
I mean, I'm pretty sure she's throwing a Maverick Pearl, which is typically a shinier bowling ball, but she's added some surface on it to kind of slow it down and make it more controllable.
All right, Liz back on it here in the 6th. This one It's probably going to come down to the 10th frame. Meanwhile, on 41 and 42, Sherry Tan has now doubled up. I appreciate all of our viewers throughout the weekend. Always fun to get to know where our viewers are watching and listening from. And another 10 pin on the left lane. Sinclair now with the advantage. Here's Sherry Tan looking for 3 in a row. Good shot, 9 pin. Liz takes care of business. So in essence, 7 quality shots for Liz. A couple 10 pins. I would say the same, 6 quality shots as well for Clara Guerrero. Neither in a match, you know, with those type of competitors, neither giving an inch, if you will, in this one.
This might come down to just lack of carry, or they have carry, one of the two.
Good spare there for Sherry Tan. Good shot, as just as you say, carry. She brings it 10. So a spare here, we will be tied, which is what the fans want to see. Packed house here. It's been packed all weekend. Fans have been great here in Fountain Valley and Southern California. Did you get a chance to check out some coolness?
The airport. That's about it.
All right, near trouble there. Oh, Clara. We are tied with 3 frames left. All right, a spare for Daphne Tan. That match still, or just getting to the 6th frame. They're just off the left side of your screen. That's got to hurry. And no love tap on the 8 pin. Clara's going to finish the match. Daphne Tan, she gets some help. Well, first strike of the match for Daphne Tan. Sometimes it just takes seeing all 10 pins go down to get you going. Liz with a 1 pin advantage. I said Clara would finish. She would finish first, excuse me. So depending on these next 2 frames, Clara may or may not have a chance to potentially shut out or win the match. Sherry Tan. Pretty good shot there. You know, Sherry looks like, you know, she just kind of committed to the strategy. You know, it's worked all weekend, not afraid to make the changes when necessary. And of course, you can't be afraid at this level to make moves when you have to.
She even made some changes just right in the middle of games too that obviously paid off. I mean, she's in this position, so.
Liz will take a re-rack. She buried the rack in frame 8. Sherry Tan will go first. And this time
9 pin. Or 8 pin.
an 8 pin. Well, Daphne still with a fighting chance here. This is a win for Singapore, of course, in the grand scheme of things, but to be determined which representative will be on TV. Still determined here on 45 and 46 as well. Liz is taking her re-rack. 9th frame. Good shot. Still watching greatness. So Claire now, it's up to her to put a little pressure on Liz. The spare made for Sherry Tan. Clara can shoot 248. That's her max score. Liz can max, of course, at 259. But she could be in the 240s. Could even be in the 230s. But Clara will have to put that pressure on her, and nearly a 7-10. 10 falls late. Aaron McCarthy mentioned what might be the difference in this match. Carry, and it has shown up here in frame 7, 8, and 9 for Clara.
Unfortunately.
So late in a match like this, we talked about being confident in making moves. I mean, do you make a move going to the 10th frame?
I mean, it might be a little difficult just because you have control of the pocket, so you don't want to do something too drastic and then regret it with a big 4 or a 210 or something like that.
Daphne Tan, meanwhile, doubled. She struck on lane 42. Put herself right back in this match with a strike. Oh, 4-9 in the 8th. Here's Clara. 10th frame. I believe 3 consecutive, excuse me, 2 10 pins and a 7 pin. First shot, 10th frame, needs it. And a 10 pin there. At best now 226 the total for Clara. If I'm not mistaken, Liz will need a mark. And the 10th, that sounds right? Actually, no, could have the possibility of a tie. If she went 9 out. If she goes 9 out, that would be 226. If Clara strikes here, of course.
The feeling she's not going to go 9 out, though.
Probably not. But nonetheless, which would mean a mark would do it. Good shot there from Clara. You never know, 226. She rolled great all weekend. now we'll have to watch while Sherry Tan with a 2-7 to deal with. And certainly not the easiest of spares as well.
Great spare conversion.
Okay, Liz Johnson. Mark, and she will make her second consecutive TV finals. And there you have it. Congratulations to Liz Johnson, battling all day. It looked bleak for a minute. Like she couldn't get anything going the first 4 games of match play. Shoots 266 game 5. I think she shot 220 plus. Game 6 won the match. And that helped her get into the group stepladder final. Bowled a heck of a game here. Claire Guerrero bowled as well as you can bowl for a weekend, and will unfortunately come up just a little bit short this week. .41 and .42 still to be determined. Almost disaster there for Sherry Tan. All right, that's it. Congrats to Liz. 258, 226, your final score. All right, we'll go to full on 41 and 42. Sherry and Daphne still doing battle here. Best Daphne can shoot is 199. She will finish the match first. At the very least, make Sherry think about it if she can bring 1 in the 9th and at least 2 in the 10th. Great shot there, that's 1. As we wind down here, Aaron, what are you looking forward to in regards to just the rest of the season? I think you mentioned it a little bit earlier, staying healthy, of course. And
yeah, that would be the top priority. I'm just looking for more consistency. I know I said that last season, at the end of last season, I should say. So hopefully the Midwest stops, well, starting with the Queens, and then the Midwest stops go a little bit better overall than they have the past 2 years for me. I've definitely been practicing a little bit differently over the past couple of months, which I know I've mentioned before too, but hopefully that helps me in the long run.
Good shot there for Daphne. 1 more, and that will put her in the 190s, and again, make sure you think about it just a bit. When you say practice differently, what have you added, subtracted, etc. to your practice regimen?
I don't know that I've subtracted anything. Obviously, my practice schedule has to be a little bit modified with my work schedule.
Sure.
But I video myself a lot more now. I can feel when something is wrong or off, but I can't necessarily pinpoint it or fix it without seeing it. I'm a very visual person / feel person. I need to see myself in order to fix it. So that's kind of helped me out over the past couple of months for sure.
Big shot there for Daphne Tan. All right, she'll be in the 190s. So funny, they could just have a brief moment, one another, of course, as teammates and more importantly, sisters. So soon for Sherry Tan to do some work here. We've seen Sherry be clutch in the past. In fact, last season she threw a double on TV to win the Storm Sacramento Open. Fantastic finish there for Daphne Tan. Again, great bowling for Daphne all weekend as well. Okay, so if Sherry Tan were to go 9 out, for example, that would be 191. So a mark is necessary for Sherry Tan to make a return trip. It will be her 3rd TV appearance. The 2 seasons on the PWBA tour. The lefty. And there it is. And Sherry Tan, barring staying behind the foul line and a few more pins, of course, but we've seen crazier things happen. Don't see it happening here. You can tell that it's almost time to end because the game room is open.
There's some air hockey here, I think.
The kids have been quiet long enough. All right, congrats again. I will officially put it in the books for Sherry Tan. So your top seed, Kelly Kulick. Your number 2 seed is Verity Crawley. Your 3 and 4 seeds are based on average. Don't have all of the match play final in front of me. There it is. Liz Johnson 211, Sherry Tan. So Sherry Tan, I believe, would be the 4th seed. Liz Johnson would be the 3rd seed.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Congratulations to all. We'll have the announcement for you here. I want to thank Erin McCarthy for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I know I interrupted her barbecue time. We certainly appreciate that. Folks, I'm going to go take some pictures, and we'll have all the details for you, of course, on PWBA.com, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Our number 4
Hang
seed
tight.
from
You can
Singapore,
watch the
Sherry Tan.
presentation here.
Her opponent in the opening match, number 3
So for
seed
Matt
from
Cannizzaro,
Chicago, Illinois, reigning player of
to
the
Neil
year,
Milligan,
Liz Johnson.
Kathy Walker, Kathy Kavicki, all of the staff here at Fountain Bowl, Gary
The
Foreman, the
winner of that
proprietor,
match
Rusty, the
will go
general
on to
manager,
face our number 2
everyone at the counter,
qualifier, rookie
Rita
this
Moore,
season, all
and
the
everyone
way
else
from
I may have
England,
forgotten.
Verity
My name is
Crawley.
Emil Williams Jr. We will, or maybe we won't.
Then the winner
We
of
will
that
chat
match
with you
will
soon.
then
Next
face
week,
our
the
tournament
USBC
leader from
Queens
Union,
is on tap.
New
We will see Erin
Jersey,
McCarthy there, hopefully.
Kelly Kulick.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right, so for Erin, we appreciate everyone watching this week. We will talk to you next week at USBC Queens. Again, check for all the details, PWBA.com. We'll talk to you soon, folks. Have a great night. It's been a presentation of the Fountain Valley Open live on Extra Frame.
PWBA staff, thank you all very much for coming out today and for all your support of the PWBA.